Okay, welcome back. You're watching a Thirsty Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm John Tobacco, and today I'm on the road. I'm out in New York City, the Big Apple. I'm at the Kimberly Hotel enjoying a nice al fresco lunch and some cocktails as we take you through our 2 hours today. And joining us right now for the first time, a new guest on Liquid Lunch, but a great guest nonetheless. We're joined by Robert Spencer. Robert is the author of Rating America's Presidents, an American first look at who's the best, who is overrated, and who was an absolute disaster. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Give us some insights on, what led you to write the book and then how you arrived at the best, the worst, and the disasters.
Thanks, John. The left is at war with history right now. And of course, the war over history is a war for the present and the future. And who controls the past controls the present and the future. What they're trying to do is make Americans ashamed of our own history, our own heritage, our own culture, and our own country so that we won't defend it. And so I thought we need some pushback. Some of the most popular histories of the United States that have been written over the last few years are frankly anti-American, portraying the founding fathers as racist colonialists without ever discussing what was good about them, and going on down the line to portray America as evil at every turn. So this book instead evaluates each of the presidents on the basis of, were they actually good for the United States? Did they make America stronger, safer, and more prosperous than it was before they became president? And so on that basis, there are quite a few surprises, but I'm trying to push back against the left and its attempt to make us ashamed of being American.
Robert, I make this observation many times on my show, but it's really germane to what you're talking about. I think there was a moment in America when George Floyd was hung out there for all America to see and he got killed. I think there was a moment where everyone in America was looking at each other like, that's got to stop. Okay. And there was a moment where America was actually thinking about uniting around an idea that Black Lives Matter as a sentence is something that every sane person could say, hey, of course Black Lives Matter. But right at that moment, when the left and the forces of evil like George Soros and others, they saw that we might actually come together, and they threw an M80 in there and blew the whole thing up. And Black Lives Matter as a sentence means the same thing to me as it does to you. Of course, every life matters, humans matter. But when you put a hashtag in front of it, and you find out that the founders of this organization are actually adhering to Marxist principles, mainly the elimination of the nuclear family, the elimination of the patriarch, the elimination of religion and identity. Black Lives Matter, to me, becomes a real Marxist movement. And when you say they're trying to rewrite our history, they want to eliminate our identity as Americans. And I think if we go that far to the left, but we know America can be gone, who was the worst disaster of all time, not counting Joe Biden?
Well, you got to give it to Obama because it's an interesting thing, John. While he was running for president, he was reading a book called The Post-American World by Fareed Zakaria of CNN. And the Post-American World essentially says that you want to weaken America politically, militarily, and economically, because if there's no superpower in the world, then there will be peace. Now, did not Obama carry that agenda out to a T? That's exactly what he did. And so if you're looking at the presidents from an America First standpoint, he is the most disastrous.
Yeah, I would. I hate to, weigh in that heavily because we try to keep the show objective, but I tend to agree with you. And a lot of people don't know this. I'm sure you do. When Barack Obama was just a lowly community organizer and a state senator in Chicago, his first real fundraiser was held in the living room of Bill Ayer's home. His right-hand man who was leading all his efforts was this guy, Tony Resco, who was involved in all these illegal oil deals, and he actually bought Obama his first house. So there was a lot of writing on the wall, even before Barack Obama became the phenomena, that he was really committed to the left.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Yeah. This is a guy who was actually raised in that milieu. Of course, he praises Frank Marshall Davis as his mentor in one of his autobiographies. Frank Marshall Davis was a member of the Communist Party, was a communist activist in Hawaii for decades. And this is who essentially gave Obama his formation in politics. So it's no surprise that Obama carried out a radical internationalist socialist agenda while he was president.
So, present president aside, after much observation and research, who comes in your book as number one, as one of the greatest presidents of all time?
Well, one of the greatest that is often overlooked was Calvin Coolidge, who's pretty much forgotten today. He was president from 1923 to 29, and he cut regulations, he cut taxes, he kept us out of dangerous foreign entanglements that would have compromised our sovereignty. He got the economy going, and I think one of the most important things that he did was he insisted on assimilation as a condition for immigration. Said if you're not wanting to become an American, you shouldn't even come here. Now, that's a principle that's been lost today that we very much need to recover.
Yeah, and I think Donald Trump, although he gets crushed all the time by the left-wing media, I think he made some sound progress in saying, hey, if you're going to add value to our society, we want you here. And I think adding value means also assimilating. Like if you're going to come in and separate yourself from us and go after Sharia law and not learn our language and stuff like that, then you're not really adding value to us because we want one people here in America. Who is the most overrated president?
Well, there you have Obama again, really. I'm sorry to keep coming back to him. But the thing about Obama is that, when I started researching this book, I was looking at other surveys of the presidents, and a lot of the new ones put him up among the greats. And I thought, what did this guy do exactly to do that? He made racial tensions worse. He gave billions of dollars to Iran. What exactly made the man a good president? And yet he's ranked among the very best in many mainstream historian surveys. So I got to give it to him. He's overrated. There are plenty of disasters besides him. Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush does not rate very high in this book. It's not a partisan book. There's problems on both sides. But Obama is probably the most overrated at this point.
In your cataloging this compendium of information on all of these past presidents, who's the quirkiest of presidents in your view? Quirky, like a little weird, like things that people didn't even know about?
Well, I have to say that would be Warren G. Harding, because I rate him very high, and yet he's ordinarily considered a failure. And one of the reasons why he's ordinarily considered a failure is because he said he was. He said several times, this job is just too big for me, I can't handle this, and so on. But actually, what he did worked out very well.
Fantastic. Robert Spencer is the author of Rating America's Presidents in America.